If you follow this channel long enough, you know the kind of games that I play. RPGs, narrative-focused adventure games, and most Nintendo games. What I definitely don't touch at all are sports games. And yet, I've played quite a few sports games over my decades on this rotten planet, and I have to admit that there are some sports games that aren't just good, I actually kind of like playing them. So I know, it's weird that I've played them at all, and it's very different, but here are some sports games that I actually enjoy playing. This might have been one of the first ones I ever played as a kid. Ice hockey for the NES. There isn't much to say about it, it's as basic as hockey gets on a game. I never owned it, but I did rent it a couple of times for one reason. You can change the size of your players. Smaller guys move faster, but the bigger guys can plow right over them to steal the puck easier. And as a kid, there was nothing funnier than making your team only thick boys so you can smash into people. I probably laughed at this way more than I should have as a kid. But when it comes to hockey games, this is easily my favorite. Blades of Steel for the NES by Konami. It's hockey alright, but now you can select from a few different teams, which basically means what color do you want to be. Blades of Steel has a few things going for it. One, the gameplay is really smooth, frenetic, and really fun. It even has shootouts for when there's a tie, plus sometimes you can play Gradius during halftime. 2, it has bit-crunched voice samples. I thought it was so hype whenever I heard the announcer shout, "Gets the pass!" 3, and easily the best part of the whole game, you can fight! Hell yeah, bump into another player 3 times and button mash. If neither person can win that, it swaps to a 1v1 fighting minigame. Simple by today's standards, but amazing for the time, and it's still really fun. You can attack high or low, and you're able to block high and low. These can get really intense when you're playing against a friend in 2-player mode, with some mind games and predicting their punches. Also, I just love that whenever you defeat them, you hear the guy scream out with the, "Ah!" The best part about it is that if you win the fight, they go to the penalty box for a couple of minutes. I basically kept playing this game and still enjoy playing it to this day because the fighting is really fun to do. It helps that the actual hockey gameplay is solid, sure, but man, it's great to just punch a dude sometimes. While we're on the NES, another super fun sports game is Base Wars. It's a baseball game, but with robots. This was sweet. There are 4 different robot types meant for running, pitching, and hitting. So they have different stat lines and all that. But yeah, it's baseball, and my favorite part about it is, much like Blades of Steel, is the fighting. If a runner were to get tagged out, you instead straight up bot battle. Different robots on your team can punch, use sword arms, guns, and the motorcycle robots can do this obnoxious flippy spin attack thing. Do enough damage and you'll be declared the victor, allowing you to get the outcome that you want. That's what made it so fun, just getting into the fights and having a chance instead of always being tagged out. The actual baseball gameplay isn't the greatest to control, and if I'm being honest, the fighting isn't much better either, but being able to battle with robots is pretty sweet. I remember loving the season mode where you go for the trophy and have tons of customization options. You can change the team name and rename every person on your team if you wanted to. As you win, you'll be able to upgrade your players with new and different parts, which is really cool. This is one of those games where it's definitely more fun to play against another human in 2-player mode, since you'll both be on equal footing with how ridiculous the game gets. The computer opponent AI can be really aggressive and unfair a lot of the times, so I definitely recommend 2-player if you can help it. Still, it's very unique and one I enjoyed as a kid. Before we get to the next sports game, we need to thank this video's sponsor, Factor. Go to factor75.com or click the link below using promo code ProJaredFB50 to get 50% off your first box. Ever wish you had just a little more time in the day? Or maybe you already try to save time by not cooking food for yourself? Either way, Factor is here to help you with that. Factor sends you fresh, never frozen meals delivered right to your doorstep. These are prepared by gourmet chefs and are dietitian approved, so you know there's no refined seed oils or refined sugars, just real food. There's a huge variety of rotating weekly weekly meals available with a lot more options than ever before. I was especially happy to see some more vegan things and twice as many high protein choices in there. And they're all incredibly easy to make. All you need to do is take it out, put it in the microwave for a couple of minutes, and that's it. You're ready to eat. One of my goals is to maintain a higher protein intake every day, and I was really impressed with just how much Factor meals are able to provide. And they're great for portion control to help me make sure I'm not overeating and maintaining my calories. Also, they're really freaking good. Like, they have no right being as tasty as they are. How do they do it? If this sounds great to you and you're ready to eat well while saving some time, click the link in the description below and head to Factor75.com to use promo code ProJaredFB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's right, they do breakfast too. Once again, promo code ProJaredFB50 using the link below or going to Factor75.com, and thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. Since we're on baseball though, one that is actually really good and always stuck with me as a kid is Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball for the Super Nintendo. This is a baseball simulator through and through. It tries to be as accurate as possible with butter smooth gameplay, great controls, and shining with that Nintendo polish. Featuring real teams and real stadiums and different game modes like a full season or the home run derby. Even though it's a more accurate baseball game and I tend to like more arcadey ones instead, Ken Griffey Baseball is still really fun. It has a couple of small touches to make it a little more cartoonish, for lack of a better word, like the different stances the batters take or the size of their upper bodies sometimes. Plus the voice samples for calling out strikes, balls, and when the batter gets mad, breaks his bat and shouts, "Oh, come on!" right at the player. Oh, come on! I never owned or rented this game as a kid. This is another one where a childhood friend owned it and was really into it, so I ended up playing it a lot too. And you know what? It was really enjoyable. And since that was so good, why not do it again? Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. for the Nintendo 64. It's a lot like the previous games from the Super Nintendo, where this one is sort of a baseball simulator, but it's a little more fast-paced and accessible compared to the hardcore baseball games. I honestly have not played any other baseball game on the N64, so I can't personally compare it, but a lot of people say that the Ken Griffey one is a little more arcade-ish. What made this one fun for me is, frankly, how good the controls are. All the pitching and batting stuff is about what you'd expect, but the game changer is the base running. Most of the other games, I struggle to throw to the correct base guy because you push the D-pad or the stick in that direction and hope for the best, but the Nintendo 64 controller is perfect for baseball thanks to the C buttons. Look at that, they all perfectly line up like a baseball field. This made it so easy to play. When I wanted to throw to first base, I just had to press C right, C up for second base, so on and so forth. It was so much easier to run or throw the ball just using those buttons so that someone who isn't accustomed to sports games like me could easily and intuitively play. Again, this is one that I did not own as a kid. My oldest brother did though, and whenever he was visiting or I'd be at his place, we definitely kept throwing down in Ken Griffey Jr. N64 and had a great time with it. Boxing is a sport, right? Well, it is for this video. I had a roommate, and for his PlayStation 2, he had Fight Night Round 2. I was hanging out while he played, and at some point, he handed me the controller to give it a try. And I actually thought it was pretty cool. I don't know the first thing about boxing as a sport or the games, but I really liked how this one controlled. You do all your punches using the right analog stick, which seemed brilliant to me. You can tap it up to do jabs, and making quarter circles or half circles with it is how you throw hooks and uppercuts and whatever. The arm matching the side you move the analog stick on. I didn't have extensive playtime with this one, but the punching was pretty cool from what I remember. But if we're gonna talk about boxing games, it's hard not to love the Punch-Out series. The original NES one is a classic, and I also played Super Punch-Out quite a bit. I preferred that one for a while because it had even more special punches you could do. However, it's Punch-Out on the Wii that I absolutely love. This was such a fantastic reboot and still super playable today. It has clean, simple controls without any forced motion controls. All the sound effects, animations, and impact of every punch thrown makes the gameplay the absolute best of the series. The way they reimagined all the opponents is awesome too, making every single one of them ooze with their own charm. They're great every time you fight them, and they're all even better when you face them for the rematches. It's so fun. This is one where I can go back and replay it pretty much whenever, and it'll still be just as fun as when it first came out. It's got an art style and gameplay that makes it timeless.
Welcome to NBA Jam!
You probably saw this one coming. One of the best sports games ever made, thanks to how ridiculous it is. NBA Jam basically invented what arcade sports games should be like. It simplifies basketball down to a 2v2 match with the most over-the-top, fast-paced gameplay you'd ever expect. This game is so iconic, most of its voice lines are still used to this day. Things like, "From downtown,"
From downtown!
"He's on fire,"
He's on fire!
and
Boom shakalaka!
I rented this one a lot as a kid, because like most other kids in the 90s, I was swept up by the craze that was the 90s Chicago Bulls. So imagine my disappointment when Michael Jordan isn't in the game at all. It was still awesome though, and I would basically play it over and over if only because I wanted to see the massive slam dunks. And I would keep doing dunks just so that I had the small chance of shattering the backboard. I also loved playing with the power-ups turned on so that you can make certain shots worth like 9 points instead, or get things like being able to dunk from anywhere, infinite fire, or shove someone so hard they go flying across the court. The original is great, and I even liked the reboot that was originally on the Wii that got ported to the Xbox 360 and PS3, but it's NBA Jam Tournament Edition that's my favorite entry. I'll still throw down an NBA Jam any chance I get. And naturally, they did it so well with basketball, it's just as fun with American football. NFL Blitz is the same take on football, pushed to the extreme. This game also has a turbo button, allowing you to dash faster, leap extremely high, throw the ball insane lengths, and most importantly, tackle people in the most aggressively violent ways. It isn't just taking guys down, it's tossing them around or picking them up to pile drive them. I may not understand a lot about football, but I do understand that man get hurt is funny, which is why it's hilarious that you can keep hitting a guy after he's down.
Out of control!
It's such a good pick up and play game with simple control schemes, and you often pull off insane plays without having to do too much for it. The gameplay is so fast paced that you speed through it quickly. Even stuff like what play to make is simplified, which is great for dum-dums like me, and because it's made by Midway, so I can pick plays literally named Sub-Zero, which makes me happy. This is probably the only football game that I can enjoy, and not just tolerate. This is probably the most universally loved sports game of all time.
And when oh, jeez. And there goes the tennis racket. I didn't have it.
Wii Sports is arguably the only sports game that can be considered to be a system seller. Each game on it really holds its own. Tennis was the best group activity, bowling is probably overall the most fun, and boxing was a great single-player game compete with the legendary opponent of Matt. I liked golf in it, but I felt like the controls were too imprecise on it, so I'd always end up slicing or curving my shots. And baseball was the least played for me, but it's still fine.
You're out.
It's hard to understate how revolutionary Wii Sports was, and it really made it so easy to play with whoever. Look, it's one of the few video games that my parents ended up actually liking to watch and play themselves, so that says a lot. I know, there's a ton of Mario sports games out there. I know a lot of people love the original Game Boy Mario Tennis and Mario Golf, but the one that stuck the most with me is Mario Strikers Charged for the Wii. It takes soccer, mixes with it everything Mario, and somehow makes it all kind of hardcore. The first one on the GameCube was fine, but it's the Wii version that really gave the game its identity. Everyone is wearing spikes and whatnot, the artwork is fantastic, and the overall aesthetic has just a little bit of edge to it. It's another one with simple gameplay where you're passing the ball, shooting, tackling, and sometimes waggling the Wii remote to do a special shot. Seeing all the unique animations for special shots was worth seeing alone. It also has a good way of balancing gameplay. You're free to tackle into whoever you want during a match, but plowing over anyone who doesn't have the ball will give that team an item to use. So while it can be handy to clear out a defender to set up a goal shot, you will have to deal with their banana peels or Koopa shells shortly after. It offers a sort of risk versus reward system and adds in a decent amount of strategy among the chaos. I liked it enough that I actually played it online using the Wii's Wi-Fi connection service thing, and it actually worked pretty well. Plus, you can play as Dry Bones, and that's always a big win for me. This is the only dedicated Mario basketball game to ever exist, and it's on the Nintendo DS. Mario Hoops 3-on-3 is a pretty fun arcade basketball game with a lot of touch controls. You move around the top screen while using the touchscreen for controls and as an overview of the court. You can tap and swipe for things like passing, shooting, and dribbling. If you stand on question blocks, you can dribble the ball into them to collect coins, and how many coins you have is how many points you'll get when you next make a basket. Sometimes items will pop out instead, and those play out exactly how you expect them to. I found this game really fun and oddly compelled to complete the whole thing on my DS, even though all the constant tapping I had to do to dribble the ball on the touchscreen practically gave me carpal tunnel syndrome. The most surprising thing about this game is that it was developed by Square Enix, of all people. So of course, some of the unlockable characters include a white mage, black mage, ninja, a Moogle, and a Cactuar, which maybe that's why I liked it so much. Even cooler is that the music for this game was composed by Masayoshi Soken, as in the same Soken who did all the music for Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XVI, and it slaps just as hard here too. I never expect Square to ever make a sports game, let alone a licensed one with Nintendo, so I have no idea how this ever happened, but it ended up being one I really enjoyed. And I know I'm not the only one. What are some other sports games that you have no shame in liking? Doesn't matter if it's Madden or Mario, they're all equally valid. And hopefully some of these maybe got some other people curious to try out some games that they normally wouldn't play.